Hi students, the chapter today is chapter 12, Monopolistic Competition and Oligopoly. We have done monopolistic competition in class. I think you can review and read this on your own. So we'll go straight to oligopoly. In your slides, it will be slide number 10. Yeah. So oligopoly is characteristic in terms of product. Product can be either homogeneous or differentiated. Yeah, so you can take both types of product. And second characteristic that you must remember is that oligopoly market has barriers to entry and exit, either because of the economies of scale requirement, because of regulatory requirement, licensing, and so on, because of the reputation or the patent or technology innovation that these companies must have, and also probably because the existing firms in the market act strategically to not allow new firms to come in. So all these 4 or 5 factors create the barriers to entry, such that only very few companies exist or very few firms are in an oligopoly market. Yeah, maybe only 3 to 5 firms in each market for the product, if it is an oligopoly market. Now, for oligopoly, strategic decision making is very important because there are not many firms, so they know each other, they're familiar with each other, and they look at each other decisions to decide on how they themselves make decisions on their prices and outputs. For instance, let's say firm A, one of the 5 firms in an oligopoly market, wants to offer a discount, price discount, in order to grab a higher market share, to attract new customers to them. The market is limited and there are 5 competing firms, so this strategy might sound like a good strategy. But there are 3 possible reactions by the other firms. They are not going to sit down and just look at firm A giving discount and getting all these customers, attracting their customers away. There are 3 possible reactions. One is that they do not do anything. So firm A offered the discount, and therefore they are able to increase their market share. Right? If there is no reaction, 0% change. Second option is that the 4 firms decide to give the same discount as firm A. If it is 10%, they offer the same 10%. And what happens is that market share will be the same, does not change, because everyone is offering the same price, so customers do not feel that they must move from one firm to another. The third option is if they think they are also going to offer a discount but more than the 10% that was offered by firm A, then firm A obviously will lose its original market share to the 4 competitors. Okay, so this is an illustration of why strategic decision making is very, very important when you are in an oligopoly market. So what's the equilibrium? The equilibrium in an oligopoly market is different in the sense that we call this Nash Equilibrium, that each firm will want to do the best it can given what its competitors are doing, and the competitors will be doing the best they can given what the firm is doing. So basically their equilibrium comes from them doing the best given what their competitors are doing. Okay, so their optimization or their optimal results depends on what other firms are doing, not just entirely on what they do with their price and quantity, their own MR, their own MCs, and so on. So to illustrate this Nash equilibrium, we take the most simple type of oligopoly, which is duopoly, which is a market where 2 firms compete with each other. Okay, and we will show you through a couple of models. One is a Cournot Model. This is a duopoly model where firms produce homogeneous goods and they treat the output of its competitors as fixed, but they do not know the output of the competitors. They must make their own internal decision in terms of quantity based on what they think their competitors will produce. Okay, so none of them have information. This is a non-cooperative competition, really competitive, non-cooperative competitors. So if firm 1 thinks that firm 2 is not producing anything, so they can produce. So let's say here firm 2 is not producing anything, then they will decide to produce 50. Okay, because if D with the expectation of 0 output from firm 2, D1 with the expectation of 0 output of firm 2, then the MR intersects with MC at 50. Now, if they think that firm 2 might produce 50, then the demand curve for D1 will shift downwards to the left. Yeah, so you'll get these dotted lines, and with this dotted line, the MR will meet MC at 25. So Q1 will be 25. And if Q2 or firm 2 decides to produce 75, Q1 will be, demand will shift even more to the left, and MC will meet at 12.5. Okay, so you see the decision of quantity of production in firm A depends on what firm A or firm 1 thinks firm 2 will be doing. Okay. Now, let's take those red numbers that I put there, that I listed just now, Q1, Q2, Q1, Q2, and we put this in a graph where you have Q1 and Q2 at the same place, and then we plot the numbers. You know, when Q2 is 0, Q1 is 50, remember? When Q2 is 50, Q1 is 25. When Q2 is 75, Q1 will be 12.5. Okay, when we plot them together, and this line can be called the firm 1's reaction curve, yeah, which is a reaction towards what they think firm 2 will produce. Okay, and we can do the same for firm 2. They can have their own reaction curve towards what they think firm 1 will produce. Right? The equilibrium between these two firms is called the Cournot Equilibrium. Alright? The Cournot Equilibrium is where both firms correctly assumes how much its competitor will produce and sets its own production level accordingly. Okay?